classrooms, even though that's maximum capacity, and we would have had to file a waiver had it not been the end of the year when we hit 22, because we have nowhere to put them. I can ask for teachers all day, but there's no room for them. So, and it's not safe. I know we could put portables out, and I know Austin has some portables, but they also have, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Mitchell, I don't know where you're at. Over here. What grades do you have in your portables? Second? Okay, try putting kindergarten that don't even know how to walk from here to, don't even know how to go from our cafeteria to those bathrooms across the hall without going, where's the bathrooms? I mean, how are we safely supposed to get them inside if there's a problem? That's why I'm definitely not for portables at this age. Full day, and the other 30-something% offers both. And that's pre-K 3 and 4. Don't even talk about 3, because there's definitely nowhere to put them. Like, there's nowhere to put 3-year-olds right now. But other schools are moving to that. Texas is moving to that. So just keep that in mind when you're looking. Because the big thing for me is having the facilities to put them. The other thing is when we get to the computer labs, that will stop real quick. There's 12 computers in each lab. Our classes numbers went from 18 to 22 backwards and forward. Okay, so we can't even put a whole class in there. So we have to split the class, which means they only get 20 minutes instead of 40 minutes of computer. And our programs, curriculum programs, require those struggling to be in there 90 minutes. Do you see a problem with that? You can barely get the 90 minutes in for those kids that need it. And pre-K doesn't even get to use our computer labs. There's no time for them to have in the day for the computer. They're not allowed to use them. They have computers in their classroom. They have 4, but they are not allowed to go to our computer labs because there's not physically enough time in the day to let them touch those computers, because our kinder are using them all day long from beginning of day to end of day. Like, we go from 8 to 3:20 in the computer.
It would be nice if you guys could give Pecos Elementary that whole area in this.
Originally, we had talked about either extending this out or even using that whole lot over there, because we'd have a track and that would offer different things that we haven't had for our students. I mean, this location is good, and there's things that the teachers will tell you they love about this building. They love the big rooms. They love the collaboration. And if you look at new schools and the way they're renovated, I'm not even saying build a new one, renovate. They have open classrooms where you can move a wall and you can put 2 classes together and you can collaborate. You can have that strong reading teacher, because we all know if they don't read at kindergarten, they don't ever learn to read. And if they don't read, they're not successful. You can move that wall and combine 2 teachers when you've got a strong one and a weak one, and let that strong one educate all of them, but still have the space and the room for a good learning environment and a safe learning environment.
At the first town hall, I remember you showing me the plan that was extending across the street, and it was
Awesome.
wonderful. Yeah.
And why can't we do that?
What happened in the
See, that's something.
And
I
then
mean, they did it for
OH.
OHS. They closed off that street and they combined all that areas, or just, why can't we not do the same thing?
Well,
over
it
here?
was an option, and Renee can probably help with that. It was an option when we were talking about stuff as far as asking to close that street, because that street is an issue when our kids are picked up too. There's buses over there, and the parents, no matter how much you tell them they have to take the crosswalk, they will stand across there and do this. There is traffic going through there, and we've done everything in our power to keep the kids safe. It's not even our kids, it's the other age kids getting off the bus and running to their ride, because they ride from Bessie or Austin or whatever. It's not ours. Ours are mainly picked up because they're little, or we put them on the bus. It's these other kids that we're trying to accommodate from the other campuses. So that's a big safety issue. If they were to close that street and us to build kind of that way, then you'd eliminate a safety issue, and you'd be using land that you already have. So there's some options here, and still keep some of the good things that they like about this school.
So can we do that?
Sure you can. You're the people.
It was an option we looked at, and then things.
We've never had any resistance from the city. I think they partner with that, with the district. We've held that real estate pretty close for the district from the private sector for that reason, that we always thought that was an expansion property, or the L that includes Pecos Elementary.
Well, you can do the same thing.
I'll
over
go
here
ahead
at SC.
and, I'll go ahead and
Yes,
share. We also talked, because I've been doing a lot of research this year, and I'm a big early childhood person, which I should be, I'm the principal. We need pre-K 3 and we need pre-K 4. So, but we also have a daycare. So if we were to do something with this and that whole lot there, we could get that daycare close and kind of have, you know, they can maybe share the cafeteria, or there's lots of different options there. Now, we don't want babies crying when we're trying to get 3-year-olds to be big kids and learn how to read. We don't want that. So there needs to be good design and good separation. But when Renee and them come over here the first time and I shared all my ideas and different things, there's lots of ways that you can do that with renovations and changing classroom designs and stuff like that to accommodate both. And then you eliminate them being in that church building that's not the greatest situation. It kind of aligns, it lets me have the 3-year-olds, the 4-year-olds, and the 5-year-olds all together, and you can do a lot with that too. Because I can tell you that that's where it's going. I mean, they're paying for pre-K 4 now, and it says pre-K. I haven't looked into it enough to see if it covers pre-K 3, but I just told you 30-something% of the schools in the state of Texas have a pre-K 3 and 4 program. 25% have half-day pre-K, which is us. And the other 40-something% have full day pre-K. So we're behind already. And this is where they get their basis for everything else that they do.
I want to mention one thing that Ms. McGraw brought up that also goes right along with high school, is she said her teachers, what her teachers like the most about being in this space is the big rooms where they can collaborate and they can make changes just by moving a wall, closing a space, or opening a space to make it larger. That's one thing the high school does not have at all. They're all closed rooms, they're all individualized for individualized learning. So just something to think about when you go into these big rooms, look at the capacity of the room and what you can actually do in an instructional space such as that.
Well, and like ours are set up as pods, so you'll see it on this side. So I've looked at some school designs even where they have them in pods. The new schools are building them in pods because of that collaboration. But instead of 4 separate rooms that are very separated and close knitted, it's a more open space that has walls where between 2 rooms and 2 rooms you can move the wall, and these 2 teachers can team teach together, and you can move the wall and team teach. And then where we have our aides out in the hall where kids are walking, you might have that be a bigger space to where the aide can be working with them, or you can even have kids outside of that wall working on things and have an aide out there watching them. The big thing too is the bathroom. I've seen designs where they have those glass walls which work for more than one thing. They also give security. So say I have some kids that I want to go out there and I want them to work on some stations out there in a free space, which opens up some of my classroom and allows for some individualized or small group teaching. Well, when that space is opened out there, they also have more like community bathrooms. We have bathrooms in every classroom right now, and they're horrible. Let's just say there's been little boys using the restroom for a very, very, very long time, and grout is very porous, so it soaks it all in. So our bathrooms, these are more like group bathrooms, and so you can watch your kids and they're not gonna get lost. It's like they live in their little community on this end, and then they live in their little community on this end. And they even have schools where they live on both communities, and in their big room, that would be more like their eating space. So they would stay down there. The cafeteria would bring the food to their eating space, and the cafeteria would bring the food to the eating space. Do you see? Those are just ideas that I've seen in different designs that I've researched and things that I've been doing this year. So go look at that construction down there, and I want to show you all the computer labs real quick. Really, it's just a matter of a wild mess. I don't know if
We're dancing.
The freeze.
I think
KW's best dance.
Oh,
We
boy.
turn off the lights with our flashlight, and then we'd say freeze. He got into it, and we'd put the spotlight on the KW. And Kyle too, yeah.
What was this room? What were these risers for?
This is where they do their programs.
Individual programs, but when we do it as a school, we've had to have it at the Pecos High School. Like graduation, we had to have it at the Pecos High School.
And then your program here tonight. We teach all the hazards here in our program. Well, what we have to do is set up chairs.
No, we're gonna this time to sit back in.
Because those risers are not. There used to be a TV in the middle when I first started. And the bus kids that would come or anyone would come in and watch. Yeah. You remember that?
I just have never seen those risers like that. That's interesting.
They're very useful. Yeah, we can get creative with them.
I like the fact that they're close in. You don't, I'm sure as teachers, you don't always want to be crawling in
And
there
sometimes
and retrieve things.
classes would come together like.
For the raptures or Golden State?
But this is a normal everyday, well, not everyday smell, but this is what we get with the odor. And then you'll also see that there's plenty of room in the classroom for more computers.
Like that at home, I'm like, you just bring it.
Because we don't have the infrastructure to be able to do it.
Sorry.
And if you look in this computer lab, we have wires and a big old tower sticking out where ours can't even use the restroom over here, which is a safety issue.
Pretty sweet. Kids can be so cruel. I'm sure that every time somebody goes to the bathroom, the teacher's gonna deal with them being taunted.
You're still gonna get.
Excuse me.
I guess double of that. Do you see, like there's no, it doesn't have the capabilities, so that needs to be fixed to where it can be somewhere other than here. And that doesn't happen, I mean, where are you gonna, there's nowhere to put it unless you do some reconstruction, there's nowhere to put it. So, and there's, these are rooms, look, that's all the computers. So look at all the space we could put more computers. But they say we can't do the infrastructure because of the way it's built, like we need to remodel so that this isn't being built right here and it's up there somewhere.
Could this also be a two-story building?
This is something we wouldn't want to give up.
For all kinds of
Oh,
things.
yeah.
This is, you know, each side meets in the morning and
So when you imagine you put all the tables and chairs out and then you add 22 little ones in there, there's no room.
Why is it half carpet and half tile?
How what?
Why is it half carpet and half tile?
I don't know, it's always been like that. This works good, the tile, because we again have the bathrooms that overflow or whatever, and so at least it doesn't go on the carpet, and then, you know, you've got washing hands. I don't know if that's why, because all the water stuff is on the tile side every time. But, like I said, you take all that furniture and actually tip the tables over and put the chairs down, and then legally by the state of Texas to be a high-quality pre-K, you're supposed to have 7 centers or stations. We don't have room for 7 centers or stations and 22 kids.
so like how much room do you have for how many?
We probably can put out about 3, maybe 4 separate little stations, and one of those being the 4 computers. So you would count that for one, and they're gonna set out anyways. So then you can maybe get 3 more, and then the others, we just kinda incorporate at their desks. But really, you should have all group area, desk area, and then stations for them to go to learn from. And we're not able to do that. And I used a TEA evaluation tool for our pre-K and for our kinder this year, and we did not do well in classroom environment. And I had to knock us on, it's my own self-evaluation that we did with a whole committee that was parents and stuff that I had on the committee, so that we can get a plan for things we need next year. And on that, we didn't do well on classroom environment. We didn't do well on meeting the high quality expectations of being able to offer the 7 centers. There were multiple areas that we didn't do well on. Our numbers, like I said, our numbers are really high. You've got, think about 22 4-year-olds, half day, and then you get rid of them and you get another 22 4-year-olds half day, and you've got to have room. So really in this room, they're housing the spaces for 40-something students. And so, you know, you get one coming in, and then they've got to all each have their place to put their stuff, and they've each got to have their buckets to put their things in, as far as, you know, handing out stuff and picking up work. And so it's just hard to fit it all in this space. And the only classroom that we have in the entire building that's not being used all day is the one right here. It's used for music on Thursdays and Fridays. And we try to use it for testing because they also have to individually test every one of the students for high quality pre-K 3 times a year. And you can't do that in the hall with people walking through. So we use this room as much as we can, but it's only open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And also for our data, if you peek in there, you'll see on the wall we have data. Well, those are cards that parents cannot see those. Non-employees cannot see those because it has student information on it. So when she has class in there and a parent, she can't have any parents come in. And if we need to do something in there, then we have to cover that data wall every time. We have to go get big paper and cover it because we can't have that student information just out there. And if you just want to peek in and see that.
Parts of it, we took down the decorations to use for graduation.
And then not to mention, if we use the patios, the doors, they're not in very good condition when it comes to locking them and unlocking them.
And like the yellow means they were here last year, the different stickers mean sped, whatever. So that's how you track your students and you make sure that they're all at level and how we can get them to increase or decrease. I didn't leave, it was filled and we took them off real quick because you're not supposed to see the patient or the student information. I used to work at the hospital. The student information, so.
It's kind of a
I say patients all the time.
every now and then.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
And we also have to store our paper here because we have nowhere to store paper. So.
It belongs in school, right?
We're just busting at the seams. We're just in a world now.
Beyond those double doors.
But, and if you, that's why we would have to take in the street, because you wouldn't want them to have to walk outside, so you just take in the street and kind of build over. Yeah, or take in, the whole corner. I know it'll be kind of late, but it's always nice for you to come whenever we actually have students in the room and everything laid out, and you can really see how crowded we are. But, mainly, we just need more places to teach, and that's what it's supposed to be about, is teaching. So.
Where are you going to put the 2 extra classes that you have for next year?
I don't have the 2 extra classes and we have nowhere to put them.
So you're just gonna be all, okay, wow.
Just to be sure y'all understand, we have one classroom, and I was telling them that is only used part-time, and it is our music classroom. It is used on Thursdays and Fridays, because we share our music teacher with Bessie Haynes. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it gets used for lots of other things. We have our data wall in there, which has student information, and every time an adult's in there that is not one of us, then we have to cover the entire wall. Like if PTO wants to do their little Valentine things in there, we have to cover everything because of student confidentiality. It also houses all of our paper boxes. If you went to see, there's tons of paper, and we kind of just make it a wall where the kids know not to go past. And we use it for testing because pre-K has to test 3 times a year, and you can't really test individually in the hallways, which is where our aides are at. So they kind of try to utilize that room. But there's no closets, there's no other offices. Like I said, we do our meetings in our lounge. Like there's nowhere. We have no room. And we, I wanted, if it was feasible, to be able to add 2 new teachers, and we weren't able to do that because we don't have anywhere to put them, except outside, and that's not safe for our kids. Or the teacher, exactly. It's not safe for anybody, and it's not safe for me trying to get out there to get them and bring them in, right? So it's just not an optimal situation. So we don't have enough room. I mean, Tim does a great job maintaining the building. Like I said, the teachers, they'll tell you there's lots of things that we love about it, concepts that we love about it.